Well, it's another Olympic gold medal for Simone Biles. Biles captured the gold in the women's gymnastics individual all-around final today in Paris, clinching the victory with her floor routine. She is now the first American gymnast to ever win gold 2 times in the individual all-around event at the Olympics. Biles' U.S. teammate, by the way, Suni Lee, won the bronze, and Brazil's Rebeca Andrade won the silver medal. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Drew Carney. Let's get to some of today's local headlines now, starting in Multnomah County, which is loosening its requirements on ambulance staffing to address the ongoing issue of slow ambulance response times. It's been a point of contention for more than a year now between Multnomah County and ambulance provider AMR. Up until now, County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson had refused to budge on the county's requirement that each ambulance be staffed with 2 paramedics at all times. But now the county has agreed to a 12-month pilot program that allows some ambulances to have 1 paramedic with 1 EMT on board, while others will still have 2 paramedics. Family and friends identify the victim who was killed in a murder-suicide in Vancouver last Thursday. They described Carissa Larkin as a mother of 3 who deeply loved her children. KHW's Daisy Caballero has more after speaking to Carissa's best friend.
She is the biggest energy in the room. She walks in the room and you're going to know Carissa was there.
Bailey Gonzalez is left reminiscing unforgettable memories with Carissa Larkin.
I am her best friend. She always called me her sister, her soul sister.
Bailey says her dear friend was the victim of the murder-suicide in Vancouver on July 25th. Sharing her estranged fiancé was the one that pulled the trigger.
It was really hard. We're all just taking a second to just grieve and be there for the kids.
Carissa leaves behind 2 teen daughters and her 4-year-old son, who she was holding in her arms during her murder. Vancouver police confirmed a bullet grazed the boy's hand.
She was going to work. She was taking her 4-year-old to school. And he showed up and surprised her.
Bailey recalls being taken aback when she heard the news, sharing it wasn't out of the blue.
But it wasn't something we would ever imagine would have happened.
The 3 children are currently staying with Bailey and her family as she's working on emergency custody, sharing that the children are aware of what has happened.
Hey everybody, I got mail today.
We just sit down and we listen to her voice.
So I'm so excited to try them with you.
It's okay to cry is what we've learned.
And this is how her 13 and 11-year-old daughters are remembering her.
If you could say anything about Mom, what would you tell me?
She was sweet, caring, very open. Even though I had an attitude, she would always still be there, and she always told me to be brave.
And she's the reason that the mother that I am today, the friend that I am today, the person in my community is because of you, Carissa. You have changed my life entirely.
Bailey, by the way, has started a GoFundMe to help with funeral expenses, hospital bills, and Carissa's kids. It's already raised nearly $9,000. Authorities in Lane County, meanwhile, arrested an alleged arsonist who they say started a wildfire early last month. Rangers say the arsonist dumped and burned garbage on public land back on July 6th in the Willamette National Forest. At the time, he told authorities he set the garbage on fire to cover up his fingerprints. A helicopter spotted a column of smoke from the small wildfire, and firefighters were able to put it out. But officials say more than 80% of wildfires on public lands are human-caused. All right, we're going to turn our attention now to the Weather Center. Rod Hill standing by. So, Rod, this is the first of 2 straight first alert weather impact days.
And we're talking because of the hot weather. It's been a decent morning, but already we're warming up. We're going to keep the sunny skies behind me the rest of the day. Thought we'd be 84, 85 at noon. We're at 83. Winds are light as expected. And our big story is not only in Portland and up and down I-5 from all the way down toward Medford. and then certainly including Kelso Longview, a heat advisory for temperatures at least rising into the mid to upper 90s today throughout the Willamette Valley and up into southwest Washington. And we still have that excessive heat warning up for today and tomorrow for temperatures above 100 degrees in much of eastern Oregon. So you get away from the coast and pretty much inland areas are under some type of a heat advisory or warning. Here are the statewide temperatures. The winds are light, so we thought we'd see some 80-degree numbers at the coast, and it's already 80 in Astoria. No advisories for you. You will hold in the 80s. It is 90 in Bend and 91 in the Dalles. You folks in the Dalles on track to hit easily 100 degrees this afternoon. Same thing out in John Day and Burns, where it's currently in the mid-90s. So lots of people dealing with the heat. Your next 6 hours, our KGW weather impact alert for the rising temps. 87 at 1 o'clock, will be 90 before 2. This shows 91 at 2 o'clock. And then it jumps us up to 98 at 5 and 6. That's certainly possible. These are hourly readings that in between we pop a 99 or a 100-degree temperature. More on our 7-day forecast. We know it's still going to be hot tomorrow, but not as hot. All of that is coming up.
All right, thanks, Rob. We look forward to that. Right now, back to some local headlines. And we start here with an update on Multnomah County's drug deflection program. Yesterday, county leaders and law enforcement tried to clarify some lingering questions about what's going to happen next month on September 1st when drug possession becomes a crime again here in Oregon. KHW's Blair Best has the story.
True knows street life in Portland.
I have a tent up the street.
And he uses one thing to get by.
It's a methamphetamine pipe. If it was more pure meth, it would be all white.
Whatever quality he can get, he smokes along the East Bank Esplanade. No fear of being caught by police.
I'm not too worried about it, to be honest with you.
And that's because possession of small amounts of hard drugs, like what he has, is currently not a crime in Oregon. That's all changing come September, when caught solely with possession, people like True will have the option of treatment over jail.
It's not going to help anybody get to treatment any faster.
Exactly what county and city leaders are trying to change.
We're here today to talk about the work underway to launch a deflection program in Multnomah County.
A few blocks away Wednesday morning, in a long-anticipated news conference, officials talked of what's called the Deflection program, opening September 1st in this building on the Central East Side, where officers will take those who choose treatment over jail. It's still unclear how many people can choose this option at once and how many times.
We want to allow multiple opportunities to get people connected with treatment while still maintaining accountability.
Once at the center and to avoid future arrest, people will have 30 days to engage in recovery services.
What does that mean?
A good question. Here's how County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson explains it.
So that could be going into housing, that could be getting into detox, that could be getting into their treatment beds. They need to positively engage in that.
The county's rollout of the program has faced major community backlash, not lost on officials.
I understand the frustration and the apparent disconnect and misunderstanding that has come across maybe in this process.
There has been criticism about not having a plan, but we are building a deflection system that includes mobile outreach, leverages peer support, and finally creates a drop-off center for law enforcement.
The bottom line is law enforcement needs tools to stop behavior that harms the community. And the goal needs to be to connect people with treatment, not incarceration.
People like True remain skeptical.
I would rather do jail, to be perfectly honest, because treatment is, most treatment facilities aren't worth it.
Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler, meanwhile, says he's now directing police to cite people who violate the city's new camping ban and refer cases to the DA for prosecution. This comes after the Multnomah County Sheriff that has said that she would not book people in the jail, essentially saying it wasn't the answer to the area's homeless crisis. It's an issue that came up again yesterday during a county news conference around drug recriminalization because the sheriff was at that news conference. She reiterated her stance, and then the county communications team stepped in to end that line of questioning. Take a listen.
At this point, I am standing by that statement in anticipation of having an opportunity to have further conversations with our public safety leaders and the city of Portland to again determine the best pathways forward to support community safety in all of our communities.
We're going to keep the focus on House Bill 4002 today.
Yes or no question.
I think the sheriff has said what she needs to say.
Mayor Wheeler now says he's worried that the sheriff might take a similar approach to those caught with illegal drugs starting next month, even though that would be breaking a state law, not a city ordinance. The daughter of a man stabbed to death in Portland's Old Town has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city. Sydney Dorner had a chance to speak to the woman's attorney, who says her father's death could have been prevented.
The city of Portland is now facing a $2 million wrongful death lawsuit after the stabbing death of Mark Anthony Davis in 2022. His daughter, Shanika Davis, represented by attorney Greg Kafori, arguing police failed to properly investigate a prior assault by the man accused of killing Davis.
When the police come upon the scene of a vicious attack of one person on another, their primary responsibility is to gather the available evidence.
According to court documents, then 20-year-old Khalil Ford was arrested on September 28th for assaulting a woman and leaving her to bleed on the sidewalk near Northwest 14th Avenue in Portland. According to court documents, Ford was charged with a misdemeanor and then released the next day on September 29th. A day later, Davis was fatally stabbed on Northwest Broadway and Cooch Street. Khalil Ford was arrested and charged in his death. Kafori argues surveillance video that was discovered days later by the Multnomah County DA shows a better picture of the extent of that initial attack on the woman.
Here, the key evidence of how vicious the attack was video, which was available for the asking. The officer never bothered, and that's why my client, 24 hours later, was dead.
The lawsuit claims Portland police officer Todd Trapp did not adequately document or investigate the initial assault, which eventually led to the release of Ford.
The older woman was attacked on the 28th. Khalil Ford was released on the 29th. He murdered my client on the 30th.
Shanika Davis is seeking $2 million in her suit against the city, $1 million for her father's suffering and another for the loss suffered by his family.
Hold police officers' feet to the fire. They need to know that if they conduct sloppy investigations and the result is that some innocent member of the public gets severely damaged, or in this case killed, the city of Portland can be held to account.
Sydney Dorner, KGW News.
News from Boeing. The company named a new CEO after reporting an operating loss of $1.4 billion in the second quarter. That number is worse than what analysts had expected. The new CEO, Kelly Ortberg, previously led aerospace supplier Rockwell Collins in Iowa. He's replacing retiring CEO Dave Calhoun, who we know has been under fire for the company's safety and manufacturing issues. Ortberg starts next Thursday. All right, we have a little time here for a new edition of a segment we launched last month on the KGW Sunrise Show. It's called What to Do with China and Drew. This is where Sunrise co-anchor China Green and I visit towns and neighborhoods all around the area, and you get to tell us what to do when we get there. The latest stop on our tour, Newburgh. What to do with China and Drew
in Newburgh. First stop today, Bells Up Winery.
A dedicated Sunrise viewer named Willie Huey said to check this place out. They're one of the little guys out here in Newburgh's wine country, offering private, winemaker-hosted tastings for one group at a time.
And there's Dave, the winemaker himself, pulling the wine straight out of the barrel for us. So this is a 2021 Jupiter Pinot Noir.
Next stop, downtown. So this is it, downtown Newburgh, hanging out along First Street. Where are we going now?
Good Company, Cheese Bar, and Bistro. Hi, welcome in. Hi, we just tasted some great wine, but I think we need some cheese now.
100%.
Awesome.
A viewer named Kathy Tompkins suggested this place, one of only 3 dedicated cheese shops in all of Oregon, and the only one in this part of the state. And they also have sandwiches on the menu, thank you very much, and desserts. My goodness, save some for the show.
Next stop. It looks like a farm.
It's actually a brewery on a farm. It's Wolves and People Farmhouse Brewery.
Thanks for coming.
2, please.
Viewer Kristen Miller described it perfectly. A lovely place to sit outside on a nice summer day. What's cool about this place, a lot of their ingredients are grown right here on the farm or somewhere nearby in Newburgh.
Hey, Christian, are we a part of the wolf pack yet? Ow! Now, speaking of wolves, they don't have wolves here, but they do have other critters and animals.
A viewer named Mary suggested this spot, a downtown Newburgh classic, Critter Cabana. You have license to take home 1 animal. Deal?
Okay. Okay, deal.
Ferret?
No.
How about a snake?
Are you joking? You're joking.
How about a guinea pig?
You're getting closer.
Where the heck did she go? Oh, there you are. You found something.
I did.
Does it have a name?
It does. Rod Hill Jr.
Thank you, Newberg. She really thought that dog was cute, obviously. To name it after you.
The name.
That's the second time I, well, at least attempted to give a Sunrise team member a shoulder ride. Once tried to do it with Rod right here in our studio about 5 years ago, and that was filled with laughter, but never really got off the ground.
We almost crashed and demolished the entire studio.
All right, now we have to focus our attention on some serious business, weather impact alert day.
And the alert for the rising temperatures, what I'm calling, it's still going to be hot tomorrow, but today's clearly the hottest by a full category being defined by a good 5 degrees or more in Portland and Salem. So yesterday was 87. Now we're still talking temperatures for some of you being around 100 this afternoon. That's an abrupt change. And so we really want you to be aware of how hot it's going to be in the coming hours if you're going to be out and about. We'll keep the sunny skies, and at noon again, we're at 83. So the morning's been pretty nice. We do have that Sherwood thermometer runs hot. I don't think it's properly sun shielded or shaded. It is 85 out in Forest Grove. It's 80 in Gresham. It's 86 in Salem, 81 degrees in Silverton. And here's the rest of your afternoon in red for KGW Weather Impact Alert, 91. At 2 o'clock, I'm leaving my high of 99, thinking we at least have to be 96, 97, 98, at least, according to what the weather modeling is showing, and then still in the 90s through 8 o'clock. So the evening is going to be no picnic. That's going to continue to be very, very warm, in fact, hot. So today, tomorrow's not a cool down of much, but today will be the hottest. 95 to 102 up and down the Willamette Valley. Of course, reduce activity in the coming hours. The hottest hours will be 3, 4, 5, 6. And then obviously today you really have to consciously make sure you are drinking water. Even if you're not feeling thirsty, if you're going to be outdoors, you need to keep hydrated. And I want to take a second and talk about the month that we just wrapped up, July. So we did, in fact, break the record for the hottest July out of PDX. Those records go back to 1940. So the mean temperature average for last month, basically you take the high and the low for the most part and average them together and run those averages for 31 days. And you come up with a number of 74.4, which is more than 4 degrees above normal. And that edged out just barely 1985. So we are now the warmest July on record for this year, 2018 in third place, 2015 and so forth. And if you take out 1985, the other 4 on this top 5 list are since 2015. So that's a real telling snapshot of, yes, our summers going back to 2000, if not earlier, are absolutely trending hotter and hotter and hotter. Here's the smoke model. The first day in a couple of days, I'm kind of watching this because the modeling is picking up increasing smoke, in part because of our hot weather pattern returning. You see the smoke plume coming off the Cascades south of Eugene. That's substantial. And then also some thick smoke plumes out around Burns. Air quality reports have been the worst down in southwestern Oregon. You can see some unhealthy marks there. Moderate across most of eastern Oregon. Still holding on to good air quality here on the west side, although it is noticeably a bit hazy out there over Portland. Here's Cannon Beach Live. Lots of folks out enjoying what is the best spot to be. It's warming up though, 87 in Cannon Beach. That thermometer also I don't think is properly sun shaded, but we know it is 80 in Astoria. There's the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club out in Aloha. Some people out there playing. Here's the other side. You can really see the haze. This is Persimmon Country Club out in Gresham. And I wanted to show you this because it really does pick out the haze that's been increasing in our sky a little bit. So some forecast numbers for you. 85 in Astoria, at least well up into the 70s along most coastal communities today. Weather model still likes 101 for you folks in Salem. That would tie your record for today's date. Southwest Washington, 96 in Longview under the heat advisory, the same as Portland. 99 in Vancouver. Hottest spot in the state, one of them, still projected to be you folks out in the Dalles. Look at that temperature. 106 potentially for you folks in that 5 and 6 o'clock hour this afternoon. Here's what the weather model shows at 5 p.m. and just pick out the hundreds. Bend, Madras, Pendleton, the Dalles, and Salem. Yeah, everybody inland dealing with the hot weather. The record in Portland is 98 for today's date, so if we make it to 99, that would obviously be a record for the first day of August. Tomorrow we'll keep the KGW Weather Impact Alert going with a temperature of 94. not as hot, but especially if you don't have AC, it's a real hot 2-day combo. And then Saturday, a little bit of cloudiness because we think there could be some storms migrating northward up the Cascades. We'll keep an eye on those. 88, Sunday, more of a bright sunny day, 93. I am eyeing a couple days of mid-80s, maybe cooler on Tuesday and Wednesday, and that is your update.
Cooler sounds better, Rod. Thank you very much. Well, we know sports betting has become big business in the state of Oregon. Last year alone, bettors in the state wagered more than $500 million on professional sports. And a closer look reveals that it's not just the spotlight sports like football or basketball that people are betting on. How about table tennis? This is not a joke. Rod Hill, when we first heard this, we're like, what are they talking about, table tennis? But yes, table tennis has become one of the biggest sports for local bettors. Last year, Oregonians wagered $57 million alone on the sport of table tennis. And one of the single biggest bets last year came in February in the wee hours of the morning when a sports bettor in Oregon put down $35,000 on a match that was happening in Poland between two basically unknown players. Are any table tennis players known, for that matter?
Well, right. I wouldn't know if they won or if they lost their money.
Well, here's the deal. What is driving this interest in table tennis is the question we asked. A sports marketing expert told us he thinks it's the constant action in the game.
So you're seeing the players play, you're seeing the odds change every 5 to 10 seconds, and you're free to wager fairly large sums of money on this at any time.
This is crazy.
$35,000 on a single table tennis match still seems hard to believe, but investigative reporter Kyle Aboshi is taking a closer look at all this. He's looking into the obscure table tennis matches that Oregonians are betting on in the middle of the night. That report from Kyle airs tonight on KGW News at 11.
To me, that's one of the more shocking stories that we have had. I had no idea.
No, if you asked me, name the sport that everyone's betting on in the middle of the night here in Oregon, table tennis would have been 35th on the list.
Exactly, right.
Before we go, Rob, we do have to remind our viewers of something much more wholesome. Giving back to the community through our KGW School Supply Drive. The KGW School Supply Drive starts today. This is day one. One of the easiest ways you can give all month long is to check out this webpage that we're showing you on our screen, kgw.com/school. When you go there, just click the Donate Cash button. Now, if you still want to drop off school supplies in person, we do have a collection event coming up this Saturday at the Washington Square Mall. We'll be there between noon and 4. By we, I don't mean necessarily Rod and me. I mean the KGW team.
Yes.
You're not going to be at the mall on Saturday, right?
I don't believe so.
All right. A big thanks, by the way, on day number 1 of our school supply drive to On Point Community Credit Union, Safeway, and Rick's Custom Fencing for everything they're doing to make this year's supply drive a huge success. And with that, we say thanks for watching.